Get rocking and rolling. So thank you everybody for joining tonight. My name is Roger Katz. I am the Assistant Director of Student Recruitment at Hebrew Public, and I support Harlem Hebrew. I'm sure most of you know me already for all of the emails that I send. So you've probably heard my name already, but very special, fun night tonight because we're having our second virtual open house of the year to talk more about Harlem Hebrew, and it's going to be so much fun, super informative. We'll see what a day looks like for students, and we'll go through all of the ins and outs. And also very importantly for the families that are joining, if you do have a question, we have the chat feature turned on. So please feel encouraged to drop your questions in the chat. And as we go through the presentation at the end, we'll leave some time for Q&A. And the questions you dropped in, we will go through. And it should be a wonderfully fun time. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to Harlem Hebrew's amazing head of school, Miss Emily Carson, and she will kick it off for us. So Emily, you good to go?
Yes, amazing, Roger. Thank you so much. And families, welcome, welcome, welcome. I do want to acknowledge I have a little bit of a colorful background here. My dad had surgery yesterday, so I came home to my parents' house and I'm in my younger sister's childhood bedroom. And she was quite the colorful one, hence the curtains. So thank you all for bearing with me. It is great to see everybody. Like Roger said, I am Emily Carson. I am Harlem Hebrew's very, very proud head of school, and I have been for the last year and a half. I love everything about Harlem Hebrew. I'm going to talk about it at length tonight, so you'll get to hear a little bit more. But prior to starting at Harlem Hebrew, I worked for many years in New York City education. I started teaching in the Bronx. More years ago than I care to admit. And then I moved to middle school in Brooklyn, where I taught and eventually became assistant principal and acting principal, and fell in love with the possibilities of school leadership and how you can touch and impact so many kids. But I also started to really form my own opinions about what education should be, had the opportunity to teach in Israel, and everything about Harlem Hebrew is perfectly aligned for me. And so I'm excited to introduce you to a little bit more tonight. And so basically our goal this evening is to really just help you make an informed school choice and unpack what makes Harlem Hebrew special. I know that there are many, many schools in New York City that you have to choose from. And I personally am quite biased and think that we're the best choice, but I know that you have many wonderful options in front of you. And so we want to help you make that really informed decision. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to talk first about what is a charter school. I know some of you are already familiar with that, but it is something that is a little vague or confusing. I'll talk a little bit about our mission and values. We'll get to jump into a virtual school tour via video. I'll talk a little bit about our curriculum. I'll answer some like pretty typical questions that we often get. And I'll talk a little bit about family engagement and school communication as well. And then, of course, like Roger said, if you have any questions, you're welcome to drop them directly in the chat. And if we don't get to your question tonight, we'll make sure that we do follow up with you. So, what is a charter school? A charter school is a tuition-free public school open to all with no admissions requirements or entrance requirements. Our students are admitted by a lottery. And our charter schools are held to the same standards of district schools. And it doesn't impact, if you apply to a charter school, it doesn't impact your chances about any lotteries in any district schools. Families choose charter schools for any number of reasons, but often because our charter schools have the opportunity to be unique and stand out and do some special and unique things. teaser. I'm sure you've already figured this out. We teach Hebrew. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. And we have that freedom to do that as a charter school. And so when you're thinking about schools, you're thinking about like, does the school's focus match your child's need? And sometimes folks even choose charter schools because maybe their child was struggling in their assigned public school and you want to try something new, or really you're just looking for a new and different option, and maybe we're the one that appeals to you. So here's our mission. Harlem Hebrew is one of 4 Hebrew public schools, and Hebrew public schools are leading a national movement of exceptional, diverse public charter schools that teach modern Hebrew to children of all backgrounds and prepare them to be successful global citizens. Our schools are diverse by design, intentionally bringing together students and families of different backgrounds, which is truly, truly beautiful. And our focus on inclusivity and sense of community really help develop students' teamwork, empathy, cross-cultural understanding, critical thinking, attributes that are vital for success now, but also success in college and future careers. And um, a big part of our school's focus is really on the development of student skills in communication, including learning a foreign language, collaboration, critical thinking skills, creativity, and we really prioritize developing our students as global citizens with an emphasis on empathy and emotional intelligence. And personally, the world that we live in now, there's nothing more important than teaching kids to be world changers, and make the world a better place. So we do that through our community values. And we have 4 values that spell the word olam, which is world in Hebrew for those who don't know. And it stands for outstanding problem solving, lifelong learning, aware communication, and making a difference. And we truly believe that these 4 skills, while there are many we can focus on, these 4 skills are truly the most foundational to helping our students become successful global citizens right now at the age they are and who they become in the future. And so if you are in our building, you often hear us reference these Olam values all the time. They're part of our daily vernacular. Kids will say it. We say it in moments of excitement and joy and pride and celebration, but also when our students are actually doing problem solving for themselves or with peers, you'll hear them use phrases like, I'm going to try better to be a lifelong learner next time. And we really work to incorporate that into every part of our day and our curriculum. So with that, I am going to pass it over to Roger to set up a video for you all, highlighting our school. You will hear me introduce myself again, so I hope you aren't bored of that. And you'll get to see a taste of what our school looks like. And Roger, I'll pass it over to you.
Perfect. Let's hop right in.
Welcome to Harlem Hebrew Language Academy Charter School. My name is Emily Carson, and I am the very proud head of school here at Harlem Hebrew. I'm excited for you to get to see our building, but more importantly, I am excited for you to get to see some of our wonderful kids and some of our amazing staff. I think that you're going to fall in love. I have to tell you, while this has been a year unlike any other, with some really thoughtful planning and some really hard work from our teachers and our staff and our leaders, we have been able to offer our families 2 different options for learning, either a hybrid in-person model or a fully remote learning option. We hope that school is normal next year, but no matter what, your child's health and safety will always be our #1 concern. And without further ado, let's see Harlem Hebrew in action. You're gonna love it.
I don't own lots of cups. How many cups do I own? I own 7 cups. In my house are 7 cups. Take your marker and draw 7 cups. Really building that special relationship and bond with those students. And even now, they're in 4th grade and they still come visit my classroom almost every day that they're here.
Good morning, Juliet.
Good morning,
I think dual language people to pick up an extra language, pick a very diverse school, kids from all over New York City come inside here, so it's good. So your kid gets a different cultural view of the world.
Our curriculum and the way that we teach, the experiences that we want to create for students are extremely unique, and we do it, I think, so well.
Thank you for going on that tour with us. We obviously filmed it this year when while we were in person with masks on and socially distanced, but I hope you noticed there was still quite a bit of movement, which is something that's really important to us, and we'll touch more on that a little bit later. I've already introduced myself as the head of school, but I obviously would not be able to be here without the support of our amazing team, and specifically our leadership team. I am joined by an assistant head of school, a director of operations. I also have on our team, we have an academic dean of Hebrew, an academic dean of math, an academic dean of literacy, a special education coordinator, and we have 2 deans of culture. Also on our school team, not pictured here, in addition to our amazing teachers and staff, we do have 2 full-time social workers who are a part of our community, because we do think the mental health of everyone, adults and children, is extremely important, and truthfully more so now than ever, if we are honest with ourselves. Now, I'd love to just give you a little bit of taste of what our schedule looks like. I will tell you this is our schedule right now during the pandemic for our elementary school students. So you'll notice that we have a pretty long arrival and dismissal in this schedule because we do need to make sure that kids are extra safe with their social distancing. And we found it also helps support our families as well. We start our day with a morning meeting. We also have phonics instruction, guided reading, math. Our lunchtime is outside, weather permitting. We are either on the roof or we walk kids to the park. We do readers workshop and writers workshop and number stories and specials. What is not referenced in this elementary schedule is that a lot of this time is spent in small group instructional learning. And our teachers are really thoughtful about differentiating what students are doing in class so kids have access to different materials depending on their level, whether they're far above or whether they still need a little bit help to get on grade level. Our middle school students, on the other hand, their schedule looks a little bit different, but in some ways similar. We also start our day with an advisory, which is a more grown-up middle school version of a morning meeting. We have closed reading, we have social studies, math, Hebrew, of course, lunch and outdoor time, which is important for 8th graders, even if they just want to sit and talk to their friends, science, expeditionary learning, specials. And we also sometimes build in time for homework help and independent reading because we know it's important. And it also gives us some space to give kids feedback and to work with them in small groups. So I want to go into depth a little bit more. And you'll notice some of these pictures are the world before the pandemic, when we were allowed to be really close to each other. And God willing, we'll be there very soon. Every single day starts with morning meeting in elementary school or advisory in middle school. All of our teachers are trained during this, but essentially, this is a really important space for community building. There are some structures to it, though for kids, it feels different every day. There's an opportunity for everyone to be greeted. There's an opportunity for students to share about themselves. There's a space for a game and fun. And it ends with a morning message. And it is really intentionally designed for everybody to start the day strong, in a beautiful community space. And we have continued to prioritize this in the pandemic. Our students who are remote have a morning meeting or an advisory every day. Our students who are in person learning also have a morning meeting and advisory every day. And we would never skip this. It's so important to us to start the day with joy and love and community building. And, we all know some of our kids struggle a little bit waking up. And so this is a great way to make the start of the day really, really joyful and really fun. In turn, like speaking of academics, ELA and math curriculum do follow the New York State Common Core standards, and they're really personalized to meet students' unique needs. We do various small assessments in small ways kids don't understand, and also other assessments throughout the year. And teachers are really trained to analyze student data. They do that alongside school leaders. I'm analyzing school-wide data because we think it's really important to meet kids where they are at in order to help them grow. Additionally, kids do have Hebrew every day. We have science, we have specials to really more essentials, physical education, art, dance. In grades K-4, kids get to rotate. In grades 5-8, kids choose which special they want to be in, which is a little bit something to make it a little more fun for our older students. And then we also participate in NWAA MAP testing, which is a national assessment, and it helps us gauge our student growth from where they are at the beginning of the year to the end of the year and halfway point. And what's great about MAP is when students are with us for a long period of time, we're able to see their growth over many years and compare their growth to the nationwide percentage where students should be in second grade, where other kids in the nation are at in second grade. And so this is one of the things that inform our data analysis in our curriculum. Additionally, we have Hebrew and Israel studies, and obviously Harlem Hebrew, it's extremely foundational to our school. Every day, students have 45 minutes of immersive Hebrew instruction. Our Hebrew teachers are speaking to students only in Hebrew, which is really cool and really exciting. I am personally learning Hebrew. I take adult classes, and I'm probably somewhere in like the mid third grade to fourth grade level. And even then, if I jump into an eighth grade class where I maybe don't understand everything that's going on, I have a great time. Because our Hebrew classes are so fun and our Hebrew teachers bring such positive joy and energy. There's games, there's songs, there's pictures, there's like practicing real life conversations. Kids learn about important Israeli figures. They learn about Israeli sports. They learn about things that are interesting to them, which is really fun and exciting. The most important part I haven't really named here is that our Hebrew classes are designed to be in very, very small groups, and additionally are designed to be in groups of students who are at their level. So if a student comes in fifth grade and you're worried about, oh my gosh, my fifth grader has never had Hebrew, some other students have been having Hebrew since kindergarten, that is totally okay. They're not going to be overwhelmed. They're going to be in a group with other fifth graders who are at a similar level. Similarly, if you're sitting here thinking to yourself, Emily, are you kidding me? My child already is in Hebrew school and I'm a Hebrew fluent speaker. Lucky you. And my child's going to be amazing at this. I don't want them to be bored. Don't worry, there's a group for your child as well. And so this is something that's really important and foundational to us. And additionally, I want to talk about a little bit about this Israeli studies piece. Israel is a diverse and beautiful country of many religions. And it's in the news a lot. And there's also a lot of like cool and exciting things that happen in Israel, from scientific developments to just like fun news things and fun animals like we don't have here. Camels are the first one that come to mind. So We do intentionally teach Israel studies. Some of that is through Hebrew class. Some of that sometimes comes in social studies. And some of that comes in homerooms where a Hebrew teacher will come into the homeroom and co-teach a lesson with the student's English speaking teacher, and they'll teach the lesson in both languages. And our goal is, again, it's really designed to be a platform to jump off of to global citizenship. And this is something that's really important and special to us. And if we think we can get kids really excited about this lifelong learning, that Olam value now, we think it's going to have a really long-term impact. And we do talk about Israel studies at age development in appropriate ways. In kindergarten, maybe we're talking about the animals in Israel, whereas in 8th grade, we might be talking about things they see in the news about Israel or conflicts within the country. And so it's exciting to be in a K to 8 school and talk about all those different pieces at different levels. Like I said, Hebrew is quite active and a lot of fun. And Roger is going to play for you a clip of Hebrew in action. I will tell you, it is pre-pandemic, so kids do not have masks on and they are much closer than 6 feet.
Let's do it.
ימינה, מכונת כביסה. אוקיי, עכשיו מה שקורה זה ככה. מכונת כביסה ומייבש כביסה מתחלפים. זאת אומרת שמייבש כביסה זה אחורה, מכונת כביסה זה קדימה, אוקיי? מכונת כביסה. מכונת כביסה. מכונת כביסה. מכונת כביסה. ימינה. מייבש כביסה. עכשיו מה שקורה זה שגם ימינה ושמאלה מתחלפים. אם אני אומרת ימינה, כולם לוקחים צעד אחד, שמאלה. ואם אני אומרת שמאלה, כולם לוקחים צעד אחד, ימינה. אוקיי, אז בואו ננסה.
Thank you for indulging in that with us. Lots and lots of fun. And that's pretty standard for what our Hebrew classes look like. I want to talk a little bit about middle school at Harlem Hebrew. You might be thinking, okay, it's a K to 8. What does that mean? How is middle school different and special? And we really do try to make sure that middle school is different and special. And very truthfully, I taught middle school for many, many years, and I'm quite passionate about it, even though middle school is often thought of as the forgotten middle child in the educational world. Some of the things we do in middle school to really stand out is, first and foremost, really thoughtful preparation for high school. That comes out through, like, the first thing might come to mind is like, oh yeah, kids have to apply to high school and they need help doing that. Of course that happens. But when I actually think about thoughtful preparation for high school, I think about organization skills. I think about study habits. I think about sort of the responsibility things that you need to walk around a high school and find your classes and find your locker and get there on time and do all of your homework and be thinking about big picture in your life. And so that's something that really grounds a lot of our curriculum and making it rigorous. And also we infuse those sort of social emotional skills as well. We do have, like I mentioned earlier, these student choice electives where kids get to choose which special that they are in. They might be in dance for every marking period of the year because that's what they love, or they might rotate through every single one. And I am proud to say that we have been able to give, each time that we started this initiative last year, and each time we've been able to give 90% of kids their very first choice. And the other 10% got their second choice. If they didn't get their first choice the first time, they got it the next time around. This year, we launched a middle school newspaper, which is something really exciting in our school. We've also launched a student council, and our upper grades take the biggest roles in leadership there. And we're thinking about other things to add in the future years in terms of basketball and sports and things of that nature, because we do think, kids having that opportunity to explore and find themselves in middle school is so important. One thing that is probably the most exciting for us is our eighth graders have the opportunity to apply to go on a capstone trip to Israel and put those Hebrew skills to work and meet other students who speak Hebrew and really see the country that they've been learning about all of these years, which is really exciting. And like I mentioned, we're trying to bring in some after school sports. We weren't able to do that this year because of COVID. But I personally was involved in quite a few myself in middle school and high school. And I'm excited for our kids to have those opportunities as well. Um, One thing that often comes to families' minds as they're thinking about choosing a school is what are the special education and L services? We do have integrated co-teaching classrooms in the school. We do not have classrooms that are exclusively for students with IEPs. Our students with IEPs are mixed in with other students, and we do believe that is truly the best way for our kids to learn. We have speech, occupational, and physical therapy right at the school. We offer sets, which is small group learning, paraprofessionals as needed, counseling, and we also have English language learner and multi-language learner services. If you have any like very specific questions about that, please just drop it in the chat. We're happy to reach out. If Roger can't answer it or I can't answer it in this moment, I'll tag in Ricky, our special education coordinator, to get back to you. Some big picture things. We do have 180 days of school that is required by the state and the city. We do largely follow the DOE calendar for most breaks and holidays, though sometimes there are a few discrepancies. We do offer free DOE busing for students provided by OPT in Manhattan, and we also offer busing to students in the Bronx as well. And we do have a Department of Health nurse on site at all times. Additionally, something we all love and remember fondly from our elementary and middle school days, lunch and recess. We do offer free breakfast and lunch for all. Our students who are in K2 also receive an end of day snack. And we do create opportunities for other students to have snacks during the day if they bring them from home. Snacks are important. Our food is kosher. It is breakfast and snack again daily. Hot lunch is served daily. Lunch is served sometimes in classrooms based on our need. And our older students get to be in our very newly renovated cafeteria. Again, you'll see these pictures here clearly before the era of COVID and social distancing. We also are really excited to offer our rooftop play space, which you can see pictured. And our kids, we use it all day long. So kids are always outside. We also, when we can, actually this year specifically, when we've moved into hybrid learning, kids have gone and eaten in the park every single day. And so that has been something really joyful. And we do try to get outside as much as possible since it is so important for our kids. We do have a dress code at our school, similar to many schools in New York City. The rationale really behind our dress code is truly to be a dress code and not a uniform. So there is some wiggle room. Most importantly, our dress code exists for our students' safety so that we can easily recognize our students if we're outside, but also if we're in our building, we want to be able to recognize if there is a stranger amongst us. Additionally, we do have our dress code because there's a lot of educational research that shows it helps kids learn, partially for our students who may not necessarily have access to the coolest and most expensive clothes. This sort of levels the playing field a lot, which is important to us in a school that is intentionally diverse by design. Our dress code, though, there are a lot of loose things related to it. We have the opportunity for students to wear a navy blue dress pants or shorts, skirt, jumper, pants, shorts. Tops can be white, solid light blue, solid navy, collar, button down, or a t-shirt. They also can wear a navy, white, or light blue blazer, sweater, sweatshirt, or sweater vest. Additionally, we do allow students to wear any sort of Harlem Hebrew shirts. Potentially, it's one that they purchased from our school website or one that might have come up through a student council or something like that. And a special thing in our middle school, our kids are allowed to wear jeans. It's something that we give sort of a little treat to make it a little more exciting to be in middle school. We do have various after school program options. We work with a lot of different people within our community. Kids in the Game comes into our school building. Kivun, which is a Jewish after school care program. And we also partner with the Dunleavy Millbank Center and the Police Athletic League, both in Harlem. And so there are a lot of different after school options for our families. We also get to have lots and lots of special events and family engagement at Harlem Hebrew. School's supposed to be fun. And we are supposed to get to have fun with our families, even though they're not with us during the school day. So we have assemblies, we have spirit days. Our parent teacher organization gets to put on a lot of events. We have an Israel Celebration Week. We have Student of the Month awards. We have Olam awards. We do a talent show. We do end of year celebrations and um, really, we just love to have fun together. Learning is supposed to be fun. School is supposed to be fun. And so this is really important to us as well. We do also have lots of family communication in addition to teachers reaching out very regularly. We do send home a weekly newsletter. We a weekly school newsletter. Our classes send home classroom newsletters. We make use of all the different technology things in terms of automated phone calls. We also have a Facebook page and a family Facebook group. But most importantly, like it is just we considered our job to reach out to families and partner with families. And also if families reach out to us, we respond within 1 to 2 school days because we find it so important to partner alongside our families. And if you are actually interested in what the family school newsletter could look like, or you're curious about what other past events, I actually really encourage you to go to our school website, harlemhebrew.org. If you click on For Families, you can see an archive of every single school newsletter from the entire school year. And you also can click on school calendar and see some of those events that we've had this year, even in the pandemic. And that sort of brings us to our end here of my spiel, but I did just want to say thank you so much for attending and joining us. And I hope I get to meet many of you. Roger and I are going to stay here for just a moment because I would love if anybody has any questions that we could just answer them right here for you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Emily. I appreciate such a comprehensive overview, and the school tour was wonderful as well. I know there might be some families who have some questions right now. So if you do have any questions, I know we covered a lot of material. So please do feel encouraged to drop anything you have into the chat. While you're dropping those questions in, I do want to just give an overview of kind of like the next steps in the next few weeks and what that is going to look like. And so this is a reminder for all the families joining tonight. If you have already submitted an application, 2 thumbs up, super awesome. But if you have not yet done that, I want to make sure that you do that as soon as possible. And you can go to harlemhebrew.org, and that will direct you right to our apply page. You must submit an application by April 1st to be included in our lottery. Our lottery will take place on Zoom the morning of April 7th. And so you're more than welcome to watch that live with us. But if you're unable to make it live, we will share the results of the lottery by email, by text message, and we will also reach out within 48 hours to give you a call to help you with those next steps. And I think the last thing I want to share with all the families that are joining this evening, Thursday night, we are doing a little service learning project with a wonderful organization called Dorot. Dorot is the Hebrew word for generations. And we're going to have a virtual card making class, and all of the cards that we create will go and will be sent to older New Yorkers who have kind of like experienced some of the negative consequences of COVID-19 and some of the social isolation associated with that. So if you would like to meet some of the families from our Hebrew Public community, maybe some other future Hebrew Public and Harlem Hebrew families, I would love for you guys to join. I will be resharing all of the login details for that, and it'll be just a nice way to kind of learn more about our values and meet other families. So it looks like we have a lot of questions that have come in over the last few minutes. I can maybe
Why don't I start? I see a couple I can answer. Roger, if you want to take a moment to read over them. I noticed that there was a question asking, I found both of these questions to be connected, so I'll share both of them with the room. We had a question about, is there a gifted and talented program? And then another question about, our daughters are accelerated in math and literacy. Can you meet them where they are and how? So the answer is that we do not have a gifted and talented program, but yes, if kids are accelerated, absolutely we can meet them where we are. So like I mentioned, we do a diagnostic assessment, and we do a lot of analyzing of the data. The reason for that is because we want to meet kids where they are, whether they're above level, below level, or right at level, and we make small groups based off of that. We have guided reading, and there are accelerated groups in guided reading. We have math small groups. There are accelerated groups in math. We have Hebrew small groups. There are accelerated groups in Hebrew. And we also are just really thoughtful about differentiating student work.
Okay, so we had a few different questions come in about busing. I know it's a super important subject, especially in New York City. So I'm going to give a quick overview because one of the really cool things about Harlem Hebrew is we work with the Office of Pupil Transportation. So if you are a family that lives in the borough of Manhattan, we offer OPT busing for families that qualify. So it's actually the Office of Pupil Transportation in the city of New York that decides whether or not families qualify, and that is based on how far away you live from the school and how old your child is. And so, if you live within a half a mile from the school, you're probably not going to qualify for yellow bus transportation. But, if you live more than a half a mile, you likely will. So the school offers uptown routes that run, I think, all the way up to about 180th Street. And we also have a downtown bus that runs to about 64th Street in Midtown West. So if you do decide to enroll as part of the registration process, you can note whether or not you are interested in yellow bus transportation. And as the school enrolls students, they will share that information with OPT, and you'll receive more information in the summer. So if you are a family that lives in the Bronx, our Bronx busing is a little bit different. We know as a diverse by design school, it is so important to offer busing to all of our families. As far as I know, we are one of the only charter schools that actually offers interborough yellow bus transportation. So for our families that live in the Bronx, we actually have 4 different buses that do 4 different routes. Some go into the South Bronx and then up to Riverdale, and the other buses will go into the Central Bronx and into the East. And so again, as part of the registration process, you can let us know on the registration whether or not you are interested in learning more about busing. And we have bus stops that we don't offer door-to-door service, but we try to accommodate all of the families we serve as best we can. So that is a little bit more about our busing. We also had another question come in about our Capstone Israel trip and whether parents get to come along on that trip. So I'll talk a little bit about the Capstone trip. So I think one of the really, really cool, really unique, special things about our network of schools is we learn the language of Hebrew. We learn, from K through 8th grade, we have Israel studies. And so kind of as a culmination of our study of the language and all of our Israel studies, students have the opportunity to have an 8-day trip in Israel. So they get to go from one side of the country to the other. They get to go to the cities in Tel Aviv. They get to visit some kibbutzes. They spend a night in the desert. So they get to go all over the country. It is a wonderful experience. But it is actually not with parents. So it is with staff and students, and it's really an amazing way to kind of build community, and it's just kind of a culmination of the study of the language in Israel studies. If you're interested in learning more about the Israel trip, if you visit HebrewPublic.org, we actually have a section that talks all about it and can share lots of cool pictures from some of the trips we've had over the years. And so that's a little bit about the trip. So I haven't had the chance to see, Emily, I'll turn it back over to you. I think I see some more questions coming in, and we can maybe go from there.
I think the only other question I see is about, how do I get involved in the sports programs or get my kids involved in the sports programs? Really, you just have to join Harlem Hebrew, and next year we'll be communicating those other steps. If we have families who are particularly invested or want to help out, we do welcome that.
Emily, thank you so much. And I neglected, I saw one other question that came in about the meal plan, and I just want to speak a little bit more about that. So one of the wonderful things about Harlem Hebrew and our network of schools is we do offer a kosher breakfast and lunch to any family who is interested. And just, some days they do meat days, some days they do dairy days, but we don't serve any shellfish. There is no seafood or no pork. We have vegetarian options. So just a little bit of everything to kind of meet the needs of our community. And of course, you're also more than welcome to bring in your own food if that is something that you'd prefer. What you bring in doesn't have to be kosher, whatever kind of works best for your family. But we are a nut and seed free facility. So we just try to be really mindful of that, just with food allergies and those sorts of things. So that's just a little bit more about our meal plan at the school. So it looks like we've ran through all of the questions. So I just want to say again to all the families that joined this evening, and to Emily, thank you guys so much. I'm really excited. We have the lottery coming up. So much great stuff. As always, if you have any follow-up questions, you can certainly reach out to me. That is roger@hebrewpublic.org. I'm dropping that in the chat. And I will continue to send updates to all families as we get closer to the lottery and to support with the registration process. But otherwise, we hope that you have a safe rest of the evening, and we look forward to talking to you guys again soon. So thank you guys very much. Have a great night.
Thanks, y'all.